Channel update. Then one day, out of nowhere, we got a phone call. It was weird because nobody ever called us. I answered, and on the other end was this woman I didn't recognize. "Hello, is this Jennifer?" she asked. "Yeah. Who's this?" There was a pause, and then she said, "I'm your father's wife." My stomach dropped. My father, he hadn't heard from him in what? 20 years? And now all of a sudden, his wife was calling me. I didn't even know he was married. "Okay," I said slowly, not sure what to expect. "I'm sorry to tell you this, but your father passed away in a car accident." I didn't feel anything. I mean, what was I supposed to feel? The guy had abandoned me when I was a kid. And now I was supposed to care that he was dead? "I see," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She kept talking, but I barely listened. Something about the accident, the funeral, blah blah. It wasn't until she said something about an inheritance that I snapped back to attention. "Inheritance," I repeated. "Yes," she said, and I could hear the tension in her voice. "He left behind some assets, and as his biological child, you have a claim to them now." I was confused. This man hadn't been in my life for years, and suddenly I was entitled to his money. It didn't feel real. I didn't even want anything from him. Why would I? But then she said something that really rubbed me the wrong way. "Would you consider giving up your inheritance rights? It would make things easier for us. I mean, for me. We don't have any kids, and your claim complicates things." I couldn't believe it. She didn't even try to hide what this was about. It wasn't about my father's memory or closure or anything like that. It was about money, and not for me, but for her. She wanted me to just walk away, pretend like I didn't exist, so she could have it all to herself. "No," I said firmly. There was a pause. "No, that's right," I said, my voice stronger. I'm not giving up anything. I didn't even know about this inheritance, but now that I do, I'm not just going to give it up because it's convenient for you." She didn't like that answer. "But you didn't even have a relationship with him. What difference does it make to you?" That hit a nerve. "You're right," I said. "I didn't have a relationship with him. He left me with my grandparents and disappeared. But that doesn't mean I don't deserve what's rightfully mine." I could hear her fuming on the other end of the line. "This isn't fair," she muttered. "I don't care if it's fair to you," I snapped. "He was my father. Whether he acted like it or not. And I have a right to whatever he left behind." She hung up. After that, I sat there for a few minutes, trying to process what had just happened. I hadn't thought about my father in years, and now all of a sudden, his death was bringing all this drama into my life. I told Grandma about the call, and she wasn't surprised. "I always knew your father was selfish," she said. "But this, trying to take everything for herself, that's low, even for him." We decided to consult a lawyer just to make sure we knew what we were getting into. I wasn't sure how much money we were talking about, but it didn't matter. I wasn't going to back down, not after everything we'd been through. I wasn't about to let some stranger, someone who didn't even know me, take away something that, for once, was supposed to be mine. After the phone call with my dad's wife, things escalated fast. It wasn't just about my inheritance claim anymore. It became this weird battle between me. Someone who hadn't even seen her father in over 2 decades and his second wife, who clearly wanted everything for herself. I wasn't trying to be greedy, but the way she came at me, demanding I give up my rights without even a proper conversation, rubbed me the wrong way. So I dug my heels in. The first thing I did after talking to Grandma was call the family lawyer. He was actually a cousin of ours, and I'd only met him a few times growing up. But Grandma swore by him. She called him a straight shooter, which basically meant he didn't mess around with nonsense. I liked that. I didn't want drama. I just wanted to know what my rights were and where I stood in all of this. I sat down with him a few days later, and he went through everything with me. My dad had left behind a decent amount of assets, some savings, property, a few investments here and there. It wasn't like he was rolling in it, but it was more than I expected from someone who had basically ghosted me for most of my life. The part that got me was how much of this was a surprise. I knew nothing about his life after he left. The lawyer said the second wife had been living pretty well, and now that my dad was gone, she wanted to hold on to everything.